the NFC East. It's horrible. It's ugly. It's hideously bad. But somebody's got to win it. After 16 weeks, the NFC East in all of its putridness is still wide open. Shouldn't be surprised, but here we are. Now, the NFL in the last 10 years has seen its share of terrible divisions, but this is just completely bad. And I remember and here's the thing: my dad's a Cowboys fan, and he used to tell me as a kid that the NFC East was like the best division in the league, pretty much every year, damn near. Because back then it was 5 teams. It was Dallas, Giants, Washington, Philly, and St. Louis at the time. Of course, they moved to Phoenix. They moved to Phoenix because they're in Glendale now, the Arizona Cardinals. That division used to be stacked, especially when I was watching when I was as a kid. The NFC East was loaded. They'd have like about at least 3 playoff teams every year, maybe 4. But it's gone down starting with last year. But even then, they managed to get a winning record out of it. But now this is going to be historically bad. At least it could be. And so here's the story so far. The Giants lost yesterday, which opened the door for Washington to clinch the division with a win. But Carolina lost to D.C. and trounced them. Meanwhile, Dallas and Philadelphia played each other. It was basically an elimination game. Whoever lost was out. In this case, Dallas beat the Eagles. Now the Eagles are out. Had the Eagles won, Dallas and the Giants would have been out. But it's Philly, who ironically won the division last year, they're out of the picture. So yes, the 6-9 Washington, 6-9 Dallas, and yes, 5-10 New York. They're in the race. 5-10. That's 1/3 of their games they've won, but they can win the division. So how can these 3 teams win the division? It's going to be interesting, and because of this, it was announced as it often does during last night's Sunday night game. It was announced that Washington, Philly, that meeting will end the season. That's going to be on Sunday Night Football. Because that game has meaning, regardless of what happens in the other NFC East game. But both NFC East games are meaningful. Washington, Dallas, and New York can each win the division. Now, Washington is the first place team at the moment at 6-9. Oh, dear. Yes, I just said that, at 6-9. Washington's the first place team at the moment. So because of that, they have the least to do. They control their own destiny as far as winning this division, and it's fitting. And it's fitting that the NFC East will end the season because this week 17 will be the 10th anniversary of the NFC worst back in the 2010 season. We all remember this. 7-8 Rams and 6-9 Seahawks played each other for the division title. Seahawks won 16-6. As a result, we had a 7-9 division champion, first sub 500 team to make the playoffs and to win a division in a full 16-game season. And they won a playoff game too. Remember, they beat the Saints in that wild card game that led to the birth of Beast Mode. Marshawn Lynch, he was right all over him. But that's the NFC East here. I said Washington controls their own destiny. That's the first place team. They're in first place via tiebreaker with Dallas. They swept the season series with the Cowboys. And they're game up on the Giants. However, the Giants had the tiebreaker over their Giants swept them. So they got that 1-game lead. Washington's scenario is simple. They beat Philly, they win the division. Simple as that. Because their win would cancel out whatever happens in the other game. However, and it will be a 7-win division champion if that happens, 7-9. If they tie, if both teams ended a tie, both games ended a tie, both NFC East games ended a tie, Washington wins the division at 6-9-1. Ooh boy, 6.5 wins, which would be a record, by the way. Fewest wins for a division champion, 6.5. But if both games ended a tie, Washington wins the division. If if Dallas loses and Washington, Philly ends tied, Washington wins the division. So see, there's 3 different ways Washington could win the East. It's the benefit of being the number 1 team. However, if Washington loses that finale, then whoever won the other NFC East game will win the division. So basically, the NFC East Championship could be that early game, Dallas and Giants, which is part of the early window this upcoming Sunday, 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Dallas 6-9. They're the second place team because again, Washington swept them, so they're the second place team. They're a game ahead of the Giants, and that's who they played this week. Dallas and Giants. If Dallas wins, and Washington, Philly ends tied, Dallas wins the division at 7-9. And that would be a hell of a story. Cowboys win the division with that coach and those injuries. If Dallas wins and Washington loses, Dallas wins the division. But let's see. If Dallas Giants ends tied and Washington loses, Dallas wins the division. So yeah, they've got many ways too. But yeah, Dallas can end up winning the division at 6-9-1 also. But yeah, Dallas and Giants tie, and Washington loses, Dallas wins the division. Because how would that go? A Washington loss would drop them to 6-10. Dallas, a tie in Dallas Giants, a tie in Dallas Giants would put Dallas at 6-9-1. So yeah, that'll do it. As far as the Giants, at 5-10, they're the lowest of the 3. They're the lowest of 3. There's only one way. There's only one way that the Giants can win the division. They have to win, and Washington has to lose. Washington cannot tie. They cannot tie. And they certainly can't win, but they can't even tie if the Giants win. And if that happens, the Giants win and Washington loses, if all that happens, it's a 3-way tie at 6-10. And the Giants would get that tiebreaker. In a 3-way tie, the Giants would get that tiebreaker due to a 4-2 division record, with 3 of the wins being against Washington and Dallas. But even so, that would be history in the worst. Even so, this would be history the worst way. If the Giants end up winning that division, which could be a real thing, don't think it won't be. If the Giants win the division, there'll be a lot of firsts, and a lot of it won't be good. They'll be the first 10-loss team to make the playoffs. They'll be the first 10-loss team to win the division. They will be the weakest division champion in NFL history with 6 wins in a 16-game season. They'll be the first team to start 0-5 and make the playoffs. Only one team started 0-4 and made it. And they'll be the first team to start 1-7 and make the playoffs. All of these will be first. Salava will be immensely embarrassing, but all of these will be firsts. If the Giants win the NFC East, don't think that won't happen. Too many possibilities have happened from this division. We joke about the NFC East, but who's the first team to beat? Who's the first team to beat the undefeated Steelers? Washington. So, literally anything and everything is possible with this immensely and historically bad division. Honestly, I'd be happy with whoever wins it. I picked Dallas to win this division because I figured Dallas was the best team in that division. In spite of our old coach messing things up for him. But I figured Dallas would win this division. And the injury happened, and they fell off. Well, they were falling before Dak got injured, and it got even worse. But the division has been so embarrassingly bad that they've been still in it. So I did pick Dallas to win this division. If Washington wins this division, my goodness. There'll be a lot of references to, well, they're a team with no name and they're in the playoffs and they won the division. And some will say, hey, they got rid of that name and they made the playoffs, so it works. And if the Giants win the division, oh my God, a 6-win team winning the NFC East, while the AFC could have a 10 or 11-win team miss the playoffs entirely. Oh my goodness. The chaos. Here's my prediction. I'm not going to predict who wins the division, but I'm going to predict this. If the 6-10 Giants win the division, matter of fact, if the division champion just happens to have less than 7 wins, I think they really are going to change that format. I really do. Because there's been talk, there were talk the last 2 times we had an under 500 division winner. There's been talk the last couple times this happened that the format needs to be changed and rank them by win-loss record instead of first place be the priority. But if we do get a 6 or 6.5 game win division champion, I think Goodell and the other powers that be, they're probably going to look into this and decide, yeah, we can't have that again. So something's going to give. I mean, there's already people joking they'll just eliminate the entire NFC East anyway. I mean, it's amazing. It is amazing. Like I said, in the AFC you have 5 10-5 teams battling for the remaining spots, and one of them's not going to make it. One of them is not going to make it. Last place in the NFC West could end up either better than or equal to the NFC East winner. And so it's just insane. I love the chaos that this year's NFC East has caused, and I can't wait to see how this unfolds. It's going to be insane, especially if the Giants end up winning that division. The Giants win the division, they'll be at home with that 6-10 record. They get the wild card game at MetLife Stadium. My goodness. My goodness. I mean, God help the Brady Bucks. God help Brady if he ends up with that 5 seed that has to play the Giants, because the Giants own him in the postseason. Now, the Giants have been owning him lately. So, it's going to be an adventure. I'll be back with the rest of the scenarios very soon. So, enjoy Monday Night Football.